Hello and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today is Thursday, the 27th of August. I'm your host, Daniel, and today we're going to talk about Nepal's flood. Rescuers are now searching for survivors. Pentagon is reviewing US troop options in NATO, and the US has seized China-linked hacking platforms. So firstly, rescue teams are searching for survivors after a devastating flood struck Nepal as monsoon rains triggered flash floods and landslides across mountain districts. Casualty numbers are rising while swollen rivers have washed out roads, bridges and settlements, cutting off remote communities and slowing relief efforts. The disaster fits a worsening pattern of extreme monsoon events across the Himalayas, where heavy rainfall and glacial melt increasingly overwhelm fragile infrastructure. So what? So I don't really have an assessment here for obvious reasons. It's not really a geopolitical event. It was just an insane thing to see. The videos that I'm sure most of you have seen by now just show how powerful nature really is and how unpredictable it can be. Like, just looking at the videos, it's almost certain there's going to be significant loss of life. I think I looked at one and you can count at least 30 people who basically disappear within an instant. It's tragic, to say the least. It just shows how powerful nature really can be. And next, the Pentagon is running a review of US force posture in NATO that will be presented to the White House with troop options on the 6th of November. According to Defense Security Secretary Pete Hegseth, the assessment reflects the administration's push to have European allies carry more of the continent's defense burden while Washington reweighs its global commitments. I think that kind of indicates a pivot towards the Pacific. Any drawdown would mark a significant shift in transatlantic security arrangements that has anchored European deterrence since the Cold War. So what? I think the review will likely increase pressure on European allies to raise defense spending and readiness. I mean, this has been going on since Trump came into power. So it's not like it's coming out of the blue, and it's something that European countries are aware of and have increased defense spending. But I think there's still more they need to be doing. To me, it seems likely that the US is going to draw down, maybe not in a significant way, but at least in some meaningful way. A meaningful US troop production in Europe is a realistic possibility given the administration's stated priorities. It seems likely they want to, pivot towards the Pacific region, especially heading towards that 27 deadline, well, not deadline, kind of prediction for Chinese involvement in trying to recapture Taiwan. So, trying to free up troop burdens there. I think Moscow would possibly read any drawdown as an opening to test NATO cohesion. It seems like this is kind of on the cards at the moment, and maybe why the CIA director traveled to Moscow yesterday. But yeah, Moscow's definitely looking towards NATO to see how well it's holding together at the moment. And lastly, the US Justice Department said it seized online platforms used by Chinese-sponsored hacking operations to disrupt infrastructure tied to state-based cyber institutions. Officials cast the takedown as part of a broader campaign to counter Beijing's use of cyber tools for espionage against government, corporate, and critical infrastructure targets. The action follows repeated US warnings that Chinese groups are pre-positioning inside American networks for potential disruption during a crisis. So what? I mean, the seizure will likely degrade the target operations only temporarily, as the actors can always rebuild this infrastructure. This is going to be an ongoing battle between the US and China, and, well, the West and China, and also Russian and other state-based hacking organizations. So this is not really new, and it's not going away anytime soon. Cyber is now definitely a frontier within conflict. US-Chinese friction over the cyber espionage is likely to intensify further as indictments and sanctions roll out, as they try and crack down on this infrastructure, who's paying for it, who's actually running it, and where it's based, and, sanctioning those entities. But Beijing will almost certainly deny any involvement and frame this all as politically motivated. Pretty standard stuff, and it's why, cyber operations just happen when a country isn't even in open war, because it's so easy to deny and just claim it's not true, which is always weird and crazy. But anyway, that's been the Intel Brief. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you again tomorrow. See you.